Hey everybody, in today's video I'm going to show you how to put the film back, the standard film door from a Minolta X-700 on an X-370. It's a pretty simple process. Should take a competent person about 3 minutes, which is why this video is 6.5. So we're going to start off here by taking the screws off the bottom of the camera. There are 4 on the bottom of the X-370 that we need to remove. And there are 2 different sizes, 2 long and 2 short. We're just going to set them here in the cap of this little film canister. I use that film canister to hold rubbing alcohol because it holds just a small quantity. If I knock the canister over with the top open, I haven't lost all of my rubbing alcohol, and that's the rubbing alcohol I use for cleaning. Bit of advice here. Don't store the little tiny screws in a piece of equipment you're likely to use later on. We'll cover that later on as to why. So the tools you're going to need here, of course, are an X-370, an X-700 film door, a JIS cross-point screwdriver like this one. And this screw here, by the way, was cross-threaded at the factory. So it happens once in a long while, but it was a real bear to get this one out. So you'll need the JIS cross-point screwdriver for the screws on the bottom of the camera. A Phillips head will not work. And you're also going to want to have something like a flathead screwdriver, which we're going to use as a pry bar. Against the rules, but that's the way it works sometimes. And while we're here, I'm also going to put a couple batteries in this camera because it could use them, and that will let us make sure that it's working before we send this out to the customer. So there we go, a couple batteries, and exciting award-winning video making right here, putting batteries in this camera. You can see the workings here of the X370. It's a pretty well-made camera, and the back that we're going to put on it is really nice for improving the ergonomics, because realistically the ergonomics are a weak point with this camera. So here's the hinge, and the back on the X700 can be taken off. It has a disconnect in it. The 300 or 370 does not. So we're going to grab our flathead or wedge head screwdriver, depending on what part of the country you're in, and we're just going to pry that hinge down a little bit while pulling the door away from it. And when we have that hinge pried down just enough, the door is just going to pop away, and that tells us we're done. You don't want to move that hinge any more than you have to, the part that connects to the door, because that's a part that could be bent, and if it's bent, that's a problem. Now, once you've warped it just a little bit, you're going to want to push it back until it's flat again. If you don't do this step, you're not going to be able to put the bottom of the 370 on without it being a little bit cockeyed. And look at that. All the screws went flying. That's why you don't put your little tiny screws on top of something you're going to use later. So I was able to find a couple of the screws right off the bat. Well, one of the big ones, and I think a couple of the small ones. One of the small ones. Anyway, a couple of unsung important tools in a camera repair setting are going to be parts from other cameras. So you can take the other camera's base, let's say a dead camera, and salvage the screws from it for exactly this scenario. And if that camera doesn't have all of the screws like that one didn't, then a couple of hard drive magnets or other very strong magnets that you can run through the carpet back and forth until you feel a tink on the magnet and can recover the screw that you dropped into the carpet that would otherwise not be found by anything except your Roomba robot vacuum. You can also drop the hard drive magnets if you want to. There's a little tiny screw. Now we have a full complement of screws again, and we can get back to doing some real work. So now that we have the door off of the camera, we have access to the whole hinge space. I'm going to replace the light seals in the entirety after this video is recovered, but right now is a good time just to clean up that hinge because you've got access to it. Make the most of the time. So now that that's cleaned, we're going to take the X700 back, and we're going to put that right on. And as you can see, that just clicks right in place because it's designed to be removable. And now you can already see the change in shape on the back of the X370. the X-370 door lacks that thumb grip that the X-700 has, and so putting that X-700 back onto the 370 makes it way, way, way more ergonomic and more enjoyable to hold. Now let's put the screws on. You guys all know what this looks like, so we're just going to speed this up to 4x, and it'll go a little bit more quickly. And as you can see, as I put that one on that was such a challenge to take off the first time, it slides right in, which is another indication that the screw was cross-threaded at the factory. So there we go. Everything's back together. We'll put the lens back on, and that is what the camera looks like now with the X-700 back. And that does make a huge improvement with this model camera in terms of its grip, its hand comfort, and just general ergonomics and carryability. That's that. And if you do it enough times, you'll be able to do this in about 3 to 4 minutes. It's a quick and easy mod. Thank you for watching this video. Please give me a thumbs up. That lets me know that I'm on the right track producing content which is useful and helpful to you. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comments section below. I'm pretty good about checking these every couple of days and answering questions. If you have any suggestions or ideas for future videos, and if I have the technical know-how and equipment, I'm more than happy to make those. One last thing. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Got to get up, Steinbeck. I have to turn off the camera.